Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and early, 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. All right, I got a lot to talk about today. It's going to be kind of a stream of consciousness thing I'm going to have going on here because I got a lot. I'm going to try to keep it all in line to make sense here. I'm going to start out with Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. I got two clips down below. You guys can watch it for yourselves. She just put these out in the last week. Okay. Now I'll call this in the first one here. Time-wise, this was the first one. She sits there and she's whining. This is so Trumpian. She sits there. She is the most picked-on freshman member of freshman member of Congress ever. She's been maligned and she's been called things that she just isn't. People are calling her things that she just isn't, and it's wrong. And she's more picked on than any freshman member of Congress ever. Poor Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sounds just like Trump. I'm the most beat up president. I'm the most mistreated president in the history of the. And right away, Kennedy, Lincoln come to mind, but Trump. Anyway, all right. The next video. One of the very next videos, MTG, I think she's in her car, and she's saying, you know what? This is right after this video, this is what I just talked about. She says, she's talking about Democrats, and she says you shouldn't even call them socialists. You got to call them communists. They're communists. That's socialist is too nice a word. So I'm sitting there and I'm holding my head, trying not to explode. And, and obviously, and the reason she's saying this is because of vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and that the government is trying to control people or something like that. And big pharma. I'm going to get to that more in a second. All right. And so, the first video, she's saying, people are saying things about her that just aren't true. They're calling her names. This is terrible. Next video, she's calling people names, things that just aren't true. Wait, what's that? You say? I think she's really what she's talking about. First of all, I think what she's kind of talking about is fascism, kind of where Donald Trump was headed. Okay, so I was going to look up once for the 10th time. I was going to look up communism, socialism, and sit here and give you guys the definition and blah 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 blah. But I thought of a good example. Moscow on the Hudson, one of the best movies ever. Robin Williams back in the 1980s, I think during the Reagan years, probably. Most of you guys have to have seen this. Robin Williams plays a Russian man, a Soviet Union citizen, a citizen of the Soviet Union, playing in a circus, playing in a band, in a symphony kind of thing, or an orchestra in a circus kind of situation. And he's playing saxophone. And it shows life in Russia. And I've never been to Russia, but supposedly it was a very accurate representation of the way the Soviet Union was at that time. A purely basic communist country. Okay, and I remember if you saw it, they showed, there was generations of families packed into apartments because the government told you where you lived, who would live there, your address, what you would do for a job. Your life was controlled by the government, and not just putting on a simple mask, or having to get an inoculation so you don't wipe out the rest of the country, or wipe out the rest of your family. No, they told you where you had to live. He lived with his grandfather, his whole family. One of the parts, I think it was Robin Williams. He borrowed his friend's apartment to have private alone time with his girlfriend. Little encounters. Because he didn't have his own place, because of the government. This was communism. Is that anything like what's going on right now with President Joe Biden? Are you being told to live in in an apartment somewhere with your family? No, not even close. And the KGB was following him around, and they knew that he was meeting up with his girlfriend, just having relations with his girlfriend. And, and this was supposedly an accurate representation of what communism was. So here we have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, oh no, they're not socialists. Because in her mind, she knows her base. And her base, socialist, bad. Communism, terrible. And that's all they know. There's nothing else there. Or communism, not patriotic. And I don't think it's obviously not true. Okay, going back to Moscow on the Hudson, though. I remember one part of the movie where Robin Williams waits in line. He's going around the streets of, maybe it was Leningrad, Stalingrad, whatever it was. And it's nighttime, it's cold, they're huddled up with their hats and everything. And there's a huge, long line going around corner to corner, around a whole blocks of people waiting in line, middle of the night, hours. Staying in line, freezing. What are they waiting for? Toilet paper and bread. But toilet paper, because Robin Williams gets back to the apartment and he's juggling toilet paper. Look, I got toilet paper. Let's think about that for a second. That was an accurate, supposedly by all accounts, a very accurate representation of what communism was, right? Shortage of toilet paper. When did that happen? During the Biden administration? No, it happened last year, 2020. All the toilet paper disappeared off the shelves during the pandemic. But why? For what purpose? For what reason? How is a pandemic tied to toilet paper? I still don't know. But if you look at a movie that shows by all accounts, an extremely accurate representation of true communism, Donald Trump's 4 years in office comes closer to that than Biden's ever did. Okay. Enough about, the whole hypocrisy there with Marjorie Taylor Greene crying about being called names on one hand and then going right to calling people names on the other hand. Let's talk about, I started thinking about these mask mandates and vaccines and stuff and how people complain. They complain about big pharma and being controlled. And I started thinking about the elevator in my building. It says that it can only carry 2,000 pounds. So the government, the elevator companies, are they communist? Because they're limiting my socializing in the elevator to just a couple people. What if I want to pack that elevator? I'm an American. If I want to pack that elevator with 20 people, 20 big people, because I like big people, and I'm an American, I could do whatever I want. Why can't I do that? Well, what about wearing a seatbelt? Why do I have to wear a seatbelt? Am I endangering anybody else? It's a law. This is a law. I will get fined bigger and bigger. I'll end up losing my license. I'll end up being, my freedom will be restricted if I don't do this and if I don't secure myself to a machine. But how does this save other people, like vaccines? And that saves other people, that protects other people. Seatbelts, helmets covering my head. The government tells me I have to do that or I get fined. How does that protect other people? It doesn't. And the thing that amazes me here is that you think about the Republicans, the Trumpers, always talking about big pharma, wanting to make money. But they never talk about the insurance companies. Big insurance. That's what this is all about. Do big insurance companies really care that I'm strapped in? Do big insurance companies really care about my safety, my head being strapped into my car so I don't break my arm or something? No, they don't want to pay out. They're trying to hedge their bets. It's a bet. They're betting that you'll get hurt. They're betting that you won't get hurt. And they're trying to hedge their bets so that they win. But nobody complains about that. You don't hear Republicans or Trumpers say the one thing about insurance companies. Always big pharma. All right. Just some thoughts today. I know I've rambled enough. Let me know what you guys think. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a great Saturday.